have a problem standing up against CPS because I had a CPS worker send me to get a protective order. This is not here, this is in a different county.
Sure.
But, and during the time that we were gathering evidence for my protective order, my case changed hands 3 times. And the last person that ended up with my case and went to court, I actually only spoke with that person 1 time. She did not speak with my children or anything. She went into court and she lied extensively about me. The DA did not believe her, pulled all of the records, and discovered that she was perjuring herself, but he would not push it any further because it was CPS and obviously he had to work with this person.
No. A short answer to your question, do I have a problem going against CPS? No. No, I do not. In fact, I've done it before. I represent abused and neglected children, and sometimes what my client wants and what is better for my client, be it a little child, 3-year-old, whatever, I will do it. And, CPS has this handbook. It's called their administrative code. And for them to think outside the box, it's kind of, you got to get creative. And so that's where your wisdom and your experience, I know how to do the creativity and get to where I need to go. I've had some knockdown, drag out fights with CPS to get what is best for my client. My little client that is sitting right there. So yes, the short answer to your question is no. I don't have a problem with that at all.
And I just wanted, since you brought that up, I just wanted to introduce my daughter, Aaliyah. Come up, sweetie.
Yeah.
She is a child, and although she cannot vote, she can get out word and get some votes for Miss Julissa. And she has a lot to say about CPS, what she's been going through, the child's viewpoint, and what she's endured through our 7-year battle now. So, go, baby.
Do you mind if I videotape this?
Not at all.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
My family has been through a lot of harassment and false CPS reports, false police reports, and it's very difficult because I just recently went back to my old school and my counselor brought it up, and I haven't talked to her in 2 years, so the fact that she still remembers that and is worried about me still was really concerning. And I do have questions actually. So, like I said, we've been through harassment. Mr. James Christopher Scott was cyberbullying me online. He took pictures of me outside that I didn't know about, and he told me that he would never leave me alone. Multiple people asked him to leave me alone. He said if he ever saw me at my sister's school again trying to see her or any of my family, he would continue to make false police reports. So I was just wondering, how would you deal with my type of bullying like this? I went to so many people, and everyone said they couldn't do nothing about it because they said he's allowed to do that, and I don't understand how he could be allowed to cyberbully me
So let
online.
me explain a little more what happened with that. So when we did try to take it to the police, they read it, and we kind of told them the background, and they were very concerned. But then afterwards, they were kind of like, well, we can only write a report. And I said, this man is targeting a child, took a picture of her on the school campus, found her on social media, and started harassing her on behalf of the other party. And so they were able to write it up, I guess, but they wouldn't move forward with it. And so now we're at the point where if we go to the school, everyone's just kind of looking around, like, is he going to do something to us? Where's he going to come out from? And it's just very weird. It's a grown man dealing with a child, and it's because of all this custody battle. And so she was asking well, I guess we're trying to figure out why no one will do anything about that.
No, and Aaliyah, that's a great question. Bullying is bullying. I mean, we have so many tragedies that we can all talk about when a child is bullied. And that's certainly something that needs to be looked into. And maybe the agency can go talk to who this Mr. Scott is and say, stop it, You're antagonizing this child, you're harassing this child. The code is very specific, there's phone harassment, there's harassment, there's electronic communication, there's stalking. Stalking is a felony. I prosecuted a stalking case, so I know it can be done. So Yes, is that a crime? Continue to report it, continue to stay strong. I know you're an extremely intelligent woman, and you're gonna go miles. But you continue to report it and make sure that everything's documented, you know? And the last thing we don't want this piece of paper to think that it's a bulletproof vest or something. And this is me just being honest, because that's just what you're trying to do. You're trying to stop it and not get to that point. So continue to report it to your agency and document everything like that.
Yeah, because, I mean, my siblings have been missing my sister so much, and it's not even me anymore, I'm worried for them. Because every time we go down to school, my little sister, she's more scared than I am. I'm not afraid of him. I know he can't hurt me unless I let him, and I'm not going to let him.
Don't let them.
And another thing, one more thing I'd like to point out is that my sister, she's been pulled out of counseling, and it's very clear that she needs it. She was bullied, and now she's continuing to lead that on. She's bullying other kids, and she even brought a knife onto campus at her school. And I'm worried for her because we were going through like a court battle or something, and the counselor said that something's going on and she needs help. And as soon as she said that, her mother pulled her out. And then I'm just like, that's neglect, and it's a passive form of abuse, so it's not physically seen that that's child abuse. It's not physically seen. So I'm wondering, how would you take action against medical neglect of a child?
Medical neglect, I had a CPS case involving medical neglect where the parent lost their parental rights because of medical neglect. And so certainly I would hope that the counselor had called the hotline, the CPS hotline, so that matter can be addressed and reported so that she can get the appropriate help, your sister can get the counseling. Because counseling is so important right now. It used to be taboo to talk about counseling and talk about therapy. It used to be something that we just didn't talk about, and we talked about maybe that we needed some help, but now we need it. Life is just so hard now. And so if your sister needs it, I hope that counselor had called and made a report. Thank you.
As a follow-up to the CPS questions that were asked, I've looked online, I've seen the ads for CPS caseworkers and stuff like that. You don't have to have a college education. You don't have to have experience as a parent. You can be working toward your college degree, but one of the things that I have really protested against is our deference to CPS as if they are experts. They are not. In many instances, I would say that power goes to their head. They become abusive. You can go to them and you can try to reason with them, but they are not always reasonable. And there was a case in California a couple of years ago, you're probably familiar with it, the right to lie case. The CPS attorney was trying to assert that, yes, we do have a constitutional right to lie, to take kids out of a home. This idea of abuse and neglect, you know, I was down at Austin, I think it was a year and a half ago, at a testimony, and they were talking about how many kids were taken out of the homes because of apparent or potential abuse or neglect. And the emphasis was on neglect. And I believe it was about 85%, and maybe a little bit off on this, but between 80 and 85% were taken out because of this nebulous thing called neglect. No imminent danger.
All this can say is it has to be imminent, yeah.
Right, but this is what happens. And then, you know, you're targeted. You have to spend money to get, to fight this thing. Alienation takes place right there. And this is state-sponsored alienation, and it is abuse. And in fact, that's one of the reasons that I actually am very much behind what Judge Janice Graham-Jack is doing, because this has been an ongoing problem that our state has refused to address well. And when I hear a lot of times, I hear judges speak, well, we have to talk with CPS. Who is CPS? They are not experts. And I think that somehow we need to defang them or disempower them. CPS destroys families. Anyway, if you want, I threw a lot of things out there. I know I did.
Oh my gosh. First of all, CPS is a state agency. It's a state agency, so I know you're going to continue your fight up there with the state agency.
Right.
But you know, when you talk about CPS caseworkers and stuff, you know, the ones that I work with are good.
Right.
You know, few and far between. There may be a rotten apple here or there.
There's more than a few.
Well, I mean, they're trying to do the best they can as well with the tools that they have at hand, and that's when we go to the court to try to put all the evidence out there and get a clear ruling from the court as to what needs to be done. But yeah, that is a mouthful. Is there things that we can look into? Of course, I will do that.
So
So when someone makes a false report and it's proven false and CPS is willing to go on the stand and whatnot, we've also kind of hit a wall with that too. Because they are scared to prosecute for false reporting because they don't want to discourage reporting. And so that was another thing we're kind of wondering is that, I mean, I understand it's going to be case by case, but is that something that we...
That's a good point. I mean, that's where wisdom comes in. Your wisdom and experience and your perspective comes in because you don't want to discourage the 911 tip calls, the Crime Stoppers. You want our children to be safe. If someone goes and knocks on the door, they want to make sure that our next generation is safe. So that is certainly something that I don't want to discourage, but I don't want false reports either. And making a false report is a crime, and so if it's something that can be proven, certainly was something that I would pursue.
And I know it's case by case. I mean, some people mean well, but in our situation, we knew it wasn't. And my kids were pulled out of school without my knowledge, and that's why we ended up moving schools, and it was just a mess. And I was a PTA president, so I mean, the schools were just like, what is going on? And they were very supportive, thank you God. But still, it was emotional trauma for us. Like I said, I ended up moving all our schools, and now we're back. But for a year and a half, we tried to get away from that, and they closed it within a month because they determined that. So I know it's case by case, but when it's very specific, I'm just hoping those ones
Get some attention.
Yeah,
Certainly. I mean, we can't. But CPS can, pull our kids out and make sure that they're safe, and they take them and interview them and make sure they're safe, and then return them, so they have that. It's called parents' patriotic, it's a constitutional law, I won't get into the bog down, but yeah, I mean, they have a right to do that, to make sure that everyone's safe. And we want our children safe. We don't want them to be coached, we all have that issue maybe with another parent coaching the child what to say. I think we talked earlier with Brittany about her 8-year-old being coached or something. So, yeah, but we certainly want our kids to be safe, so, yeah.